Hi everybody, welcome again to another episode of Fish Keeping Jamaica. Welcome to my channel. Today we talk about a comparative narrative between DWC, which is deep water culture, and having that planter bed media within your aquaponics setup. Stay tuned. Okay, so deep water culture, for those persons who are unaware of what deep water culture is, it involves something looking like this, which is a raft, right? I spoke about this in a video before, right? So this I call it now planter, I call it the container where you have the plant in would be within your a foam thick like probably this, right, with cold sponge neatly spaced, right, and the plant will be inside. So these plants that you're seeing here will be in here, and you will also have medias like this inside, right? Okay, so you wouldn't have any media within a planter bed or grow bed like this, right? You have water running beneath the raft bed, right, and the water would be supplying the plant with the necessary nutrients that comes from your fish pond, and so the plant will actually consume what it needs, right, and the rest will actually be returned to the fish pond. And you would have the fish pond, you would have a pump inside of it that would actually take the water from the pond itself, and the water would actually be filtered within a mechanical system, and it will be returning back to the container with with the water in it, and the water running through the container, the pot, and it's a circulatory system. Now there has been strong debate of recently whether or not deep water culture is the way to go versus having a media bed culture. Now to me, I am doing this video in the night right now, probably minutes after 6, right, and I can tell you a lot of mosquitoes are actually all around. If you hear me clapping, it's because mosquitoes are actually biting. Now the breeding of mosquitoes in deep water culture setup in the tropics is a reality as a result of the water actually flowing beneath. There are no media, right, other than the media that is within the container itself, right. There absolutely no media in the water that's below. So as a result of that, what you find is that a lot of water is here, so therefore a lot of mosquito is actually hatched. Well, the mosquito actually give birth to babies, right, and you have issues such as mosquito infestation. All right, so persons, well, as I said before, there have been a debate on that, but persons have been saying that you could put small fish, ornamental fish, within the water space, and ornamental fish would actually consume the mosquito. All right, now the mosquito larvae, that is. Okay, my take on that means that the water that exists right here, right, it would have the mosquito waste, right, and periodically what would happen is that the water itself would actually be returned to the pond with the fish. That means that water would not be filtered enough so as to return clean, or to return at a good pace, filtered to the system. So therefore at one point in time you're going to have to change water. Now imagine if I had the entire system here filled with containers, and I'm doing deep water culture. What will happen is that the amount of fish I would have to place in, and some persons might say that it's not a lot of fish I would have to place within the tubs, but when you look at the amount of systems I have, if I decided to do deep water culture, let's say I have some 8 foot by 5 foot trough with some raft on the top, and the mosquitoes find their way in, I would have to find fish and place in, and fish only consume when they are hungry. So the fish would actually be you'd have a situation where you have too much mosquito larvae and too little fish to consume. If you want to ensure that the water to some extent is managed properly to be returned to the pond. So that's where I decided, and I have done my research on this. That's where I've decided that, listen, I prefer to have my media wherein it's I can actually manage my media. My media acts as I call it a stopping float for the, you see all these things that you've seen flying, all of these are mosquitoes. And you might be saying, but you are actually breeding mosquitoes where you are at. No. What happened is that mosquitoes actually they can breed in the minimal water. So I have a lot of trees at the back of my yard, and the trees have leaves, and the leaves sometimes are held in a precarious position up in the air where water is on. And what will happen is that the water will stay there for a bit, and it just takes less than 7 days for the mosquito to actually hatch out, lay eggs, hatch out, and everything start to fly again. Right, so that will be a problem. All right, so as I was saying, coming back to the whole idea of deep water culture, one of my main problems is the mosquitoes, right? Also the fact that and I did a video on this already regarding the raft, right? You wouldn't really put the raft on a media bed. You would put the raft on deep water culture, right? In the tropics we have wet season and dry season. So therefore, during the wet season, if you are doing aquaponics, you would have a problem with the breeding of mosquitoes. Now I have a problem, but that's a different type of problem, and that problem is the sun, right? So what I have to do in the evening is to actually cover. Right now, if I have this here, I would have to actually improvise more, probably make a shade area for my system so as to beat back the heat of the sun, right? Also having the pots in the raft, in the raft bed, what will happen is that it limits the spread out of the, how should I say, the grow out of the plant itself. So the vegetable will be limited to how they grow. They don't really grow horizontal, they grow up in the air vertically. So you find that the amount of yield, well, the amount within the yield, the weight that is actually limited, right? Now, deep water culture, whilst it might be good within what I call it, indoor system, I would say that for me, and the mosquitoes them are grinding, guys. While it might be good for persons living in spaces where they can afford to do the and it's not about affordability meaning monies, but not running the risk of having mosquitoes being breeding, right? And this is my sore point with deep water culture, right? Mosquitoes actually breed in the water and cause problem, and also the growth of your stock in which you're actually doing, right? In addition, before I end, right, deep water culture, right, is something where it's the water pre-filtration mechanism. It requires more innovation, it requires a lot more work than having a setup like this, right? Because you'd have to do pre-filtration, then you would have to pump the water from the pre-filtration mechanism, mechanical filtration, and you would have to place it into the container where the floating rafts are, and the water will actually circulate. So therefore you would have to purchase more equipment, more expense, more electricity, more time, more effort, more maintenance, right? So whilst deep water culture is the way to go, because a lot of persons really and truly are moving up and down because I don't want the mosquitoes to bite me, to take a set on me. While deep water culture is the way in which a lot of persons are going, because looking at this is very weighty, guys, right? A lot of media in this, a lot of work to put this up, a lot of work to take this down. Deep water culture, you just need to empty the water and wash out, start again, and you're good to go, right? So there's a lot of comparative as to which way to go, with media, without media, right? It is for you to make the decision, do a little more research on it. But as I said before, for me, the rafting and the deep water culture is just not for me, because where I am at right now, I'm practically in rural Jamaica, and there's a lot of vegetation, a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of water, and we want to limit that. Alright, limit the mosquitoes, that is. Thank you very much for stopping by, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'm not even gonna feed them tonight. I'm gonna bed. Mosquito them bad, mosquito scratch me. Bye, guys. Peace out.